Jump in. Genesis chapter 1. Let's start reading in verse 9 again. And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the third day. Okay. So we're looking closely here at day 3. Okay. Day 3 of creation. And so far, you know, we've discovered some interesting things. Now what we're going to do is we're going to learn another very interesting fact. Okay? And here's the interesting fact. God did not, are y'all ready? God did not form every single species of plant that you see around you today. Especially today. We got all this GMO stuff. I can assure you, genetically modified corn, peaches and cream was not on the earth at creation. What are those tomatoes you gave me? What are those tomatoes you gave me, Rita? Devil's toes, or what are they called? What are those? Huh? Tommy toes. Where did I get devil toes? I think it's just because they're devilishly good.
They're red.
Look, I couldn't hardly grow those things because anytime they turned just slightly orange, I was eating them. They're good. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so those are genetic. They weren't on the earth then. Okay? Now, well, look, so the Bible here is telling us that God created kinds. Okay? A kind. Everything after its kind. Now, when we talk about a kind here, it is the purest base form from which all subsequent species would derive their forms. We have, for example, and this is not a plant, but we have a very highly advanced animal in our household. It's a mutt. Okay? It is a mixture, and the species is so hybrid. He is not in the most base form. In fact, I would say he has lost quite a bit of the genetic code because he is absolutely stupid.
Oh.
He is. Jack is stupid. If I showed you a picture of Jack, the first thing you would say is, "That dog is stupid." I'm not kidding. He's like this. This morning, we're sitting there before time to come to church, and we got this ottoman in our living room, and he comes tearing across the floor, and he's going to jump up on that ottoman, and he jumped a little too quick, and he, boom, smacked right into the ottoman. He didn't make it. He's stupid. He's just dumb. He's missing. Well, he don't have that part of the genetic code. Okay, yeah, but he is from the kind dog. Okay, and plants, same way. They're in their most pure, basic forms at creation. And oh, by the way, without the outside influence of disease, of pests, things that, destroy it. Okay? You've got to remember, this is before we have any sin in the world. Okay? So these are pure, and when I say pure, I really mean that in every sense of the word. Divine even, agricultural life. I wish we could see it. Man, I just wish, Bev was talking before we started today, they saw the sequoias up there in California while they were out there. Those, I've never been up next to one physically. I've seen pictures of them. You can drive cars through them. They're massive. And I can only imagine the majesty of one of those trees. But that's after the flood. I can imagine the beauty of this paradise. Man, an absolute paradise. Now, if we think about that, I would imagine that the plant kingdom obviously looked wildly different when it was brand new versus now. No diseases and all this stuff. Can you imagine also the fruit production. I mean, I don't know what the fruit looked like, but can you imagine the production of it? The color, the taste, the smell. I can begin to sympathize with Eve in the garden. You know, everybody wants to call it an apple. She bit the apple. I don't know if that's what she bit. I have no clue. Geez, like that would be the one. That'd be my weakness right there. A little watermelon. But I'm sure it was incredible. Now, on a side note, speaking of the Garden of Eden was full of herbs and fruits in their purest, basic forms. And so, do you think the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, do you think it has a derivative form today? At least until the flood. Likely. We just need to go chisel it out. It's probably in the Sahara Desert in a place nobody wants to go and could ever even actually exist, right? Yeah, the Tigris, Euphrates River or something, you know, down there at the bottom. Yeah, those things, all they do is break off limbs. It's fruitless. Whatever it is, it's fruitless. It's fruitless now. These are just thoughts. These are my musings, okay? So I'll just grant you that. I'm not like driving towards some biblical answer here, but these are the kinds of things that when you read the Bible, please, please, please explore. Think about it. One of the scariest things about Genesis in particular is it's not hard to let your mind explore alternative thoughts that are nothing like anything you've ever been taught. But you know, if we just kind of stayed in that safe zone, none of us would be rightly dividers. Because if right division has taught us anything, is that we're Big Bird. We're weird, bizarre, and nothing like anybody else, and nobody wants to have anything to do with us. Okay? And so it's important for us, I think, when we read the Word, to consume it, to enjoy it, and dare I say even be entertained by it. These are entertaining thoughts. I mean, let's just say the pure form of the knowledge of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, its base form is somehow influential in the plant breeds that still exist on the earth today. I mean, that's just a neat thought to me. There's a relic of it still in existence. I mean, that's just a neat thought. It's neither here nor there. Okay? But nonetheless, just kind of thinking out loud. Bev, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, verses 4 through 5 talk about the light and death.
Yep.
And then...
Not till verse 14 that you get the sun.
Yeah. So 14 through... it talks about lights. So there's an artificial... About artificial... Not artificial. Light form. Not a moon. Mm-hmm. I've heard someone say that they had to be 24-hour days to have plans of the sun process. So they did.
Here's the question. And I think this is, I like what you're bringing up. So what Bev is asking, she said, hey, we got plants on day 3, but we don't have sunshine yet. We do already have light. The question here, and what was interesting is the way you phrased it, and you said plants need the sun. Is that true? Plants need light. Do they need light from the sun? I don't know, I'm not a scientist. Yeah, that's man-made light though. That's the reason why it doesn't work. I think if you put them in a tanning bed, they explode. And they just pop out fruit. And I don't know. I really don't. I really don't. Is it UVA, UVB? I don't know. Anybody? Any takers?
We have a grow light.
Yeah, a grow light.
Yeah, a grow light for our cats.
I knew it, Bev. You're a cat lady.
Anyway, so it requires a blue light.
Hold on. Jean is about to pee in her pants.
You can grow African violets under
Under what?
fluorescent.
Fluorescent light. So Emma, you're wrong. Truman used to grow marijuana under fluorescent lights. That's what he just said. Did y'all all hear? I'm kidding. He just said he's African violets. Is that right? African violets. African violets. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I just had to have fun. I had to have fun with you, Truman. Yeah. So, coming back to the point, Gene, look, y'all know what happens. I am not kidding y'all. I only usually write about 4 pages of notes. That's it for a Sunday, and this is why. Because we have to have a pee break for Gene to laugh. You know, I know this is taking at least 3 minutes already. You know, that is a good question. Good thought though. Hey, so here's the other principle. When we mention this, especially when we're talking about creation, one of the things you can never forget is the order of events, the order of time. It's the same when we think about right division. Okay. For example, Cain murdered Abel. Cain murdered Abel. But God did not punish him according to the law of Moses. Why not? The law wasn't there yet. So again, you've got to remember the time and the order of events in time. Creation is no different. Okay? So good thought there. Light was in existence. And we talked about this as well. Light apparently is a material substance. It's something that was formed. And so it has something in it, apparently, that plants need. And apparently only certain somethings. I don't know. So that's what it is. All right, here's my question. I don't even remember where I am at this point. Are you still laughing about cat grass? In case y'all missed it, Beverly apparently has a patch of grass for her cat. Is that right?
In the winter,
In the-
we can't go out, and well, we did let her out before the sun. And our house isn't bright enough in the winter.
Does this cat appreciate your efforts? Because that is a lot. Norm is just a lot. Norm, I have a question. Do you have an indoor weed eater to trim that grass and make sure it stays? I'm kidding with you. This is too much fun.
She just eats it, that's it.
She just eats it. All right. All right. So, let me ask you this, Rita. Are you still working at the co-op? Okay. This is a co-op question. Rita, what do plants require to grow and produce fruit? Okay. They need water. They need dirt. Nutrients. You said fertilizer. I'm going to broaden that to nutrients. And they need light. We've established now that doesn't necessarily mean the sun. Emma. Hold on. Is this going to make Jean laugh again? Yeah, that's right. Coming back to the Adventist session that we saw on YouTube today. No, we're not talking about fertilizer. They need water, they need dirt, nutrients, and light. Now, here's what I find amazing, and this is just simple amazing, but it's amazing nonetheless. Isn't it amazing that those things were in existence before God formed plants? From the start, we had water. From the start, didn't we have nutrients? On day 2, didn't we get light? See how God, this thing was in perfect step and timing. He had this planned out so beautifully. To where, honestly, a lot of this can be naturally understood through science, through a proper science. Plants require water, nutrients, and light. They produce oxygen. They need carbon dioxide. I assume in all that matter, there was carbon dioxide, and so yeah, it's interesting. So we truly, this is one of those areas where we truly see the wisdom of God on display. All right, now I got another question. These are sort of miscellaneous, weird, make you think questions. On the fifth and the sixth day, God formed all animal life, right? Right? Okay. On the fifth and sixth day, He created all animal life and then human life after that. Let me ask you this, Rita. What did they eat? Let me state my question again, and this is going to start to draw out the real oomph of my question. On the fifth and sixth just day, God formed the animal kingdom. I'm positive they started to eat pretty quick. You seeing where I'm going? What did they eat? Now, here's the reason why this is, at least to me, an interesting question. And Rita's going to love this because she's going to be like, yes, I got you. I knew it. I knew it. It wasn't 24-hour periods of time. Here's the reason why this is an interesting question. They ate vegetation. The vegetation that God formed on day 3. Okay? It was just 2 short days later. Really just a day, a full day, and then a little bit of time later, where all of a sudden we've got the animal kingdom, and now they need some vegetation to munch on. Okay? And so, but plants were still very young at that point. All right, cotton. When you go out and you plant your garden. Do you have a garden this year? Got lazy on me, Cotton. In the past, Cotton, when you've planted a garden, after you go out and plant that seed, do you go out in 2 days and start picking vegetables?
Depends on how the old plants go.
It depends on what fertilizer you use, huh? The answer is no. Great question. I know you're thinking chicken and egg. Come back, Rita. Look at verse 11. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass. Bring forth. They didn't have like turf farms already there. It still had to be brought forth. Okay. The herb, and then he goes on to further that, the herb yielding seed and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. Okay, and it was so. Now, no, I know your point. I'm hearing your point. What I'm saying is when I look at that text, what we're talking about here is a formation of the dry land, and then it was to bring forth the plant life. Okay. So what I'm getting at is it only had 2 days to be of enough volume to feed the animal kingdom. Okay? Now, 2 days is not enough time for vegetation to grow and produce fruit, let alone enough to feed the entire animal kingdom. Am I right? Is that a good basic assumption there, right? It's not. Okay? So, we got a few options here, Rita. We got 4 options. 1, He created fully grown, fully productive vegetation that was ready to go. That's one option. Okay? My only problem with that option is I'm not seeing that explicitly stated, like I do when He created man. And animals, for that matter. Okay? Here's another option. You're going to like this one, Rita. The other option is that a day in the creation account here is longer than 24 hours. Now, don't you come backing off that option, Rita. Now, you were pressing me. Hey, personally, I got 2 more options. I'm not finished. This brain is big. I got a lot of stuff up here. I think that option is also ridiculous. I do think it was 24-hour periods of time. Okay? Option number 2. Option 3, I actually already had, and I called it option 1 a second ago. So I've got my order out of whack. There is only 3 options. So now, actual option 3 is this was a perfect environment. This was a perfect environment, and these pure plant forms generated quickly. Remember, no weeds, no diseases, no resistance. Yep. But what does it say at the end of verse 12? At the very last little phrase. That's my answer to that. I think he knew just exactly what to put there. Now, and he did the same with the animal kingdom, and I think he did put those things in balance, all right? I don't think he had to have game wardens traveling around making sure they only hunted a certain amount of animals, okay? I think he had it just right. And so now, hey, let me just go ahead and say, again, I am not trying to teach Genesis from a scientific or a logical perspective in that sense, or an academic perspective. I am purely looking at it right there. I do not get anything about adult mature plants. That's what Rita is, the point we're trying to make, and that was option number 1. But keep going back to the beginning of the verse. And it says, let the earth bring forth what? Grass, fruit trees, herbs. We get on down, herbs, fruit, and grass. Okay, 3 basics. Okay? Chapter 2, verse 5. What's it say? Before it what? So now you're making my point, Rita. Thank you. I told you I am trying to be exclusive to the... I don't. It says what it says. Now, let's just stop here for a second. I'm going to ask y'all a basic question about God. Can He? Can He? Can God? Can He what, Greg? Fill in the blank. Can He? Okay? Now, when it comes to God's command, let's just narrow it to the plant kingdom. Does He have command of the plant kingdom? And when I make such a statement, can I justify that from the Bible? All right, let's just see. Look with me. Before we go to that point, y'all go to Genesis chapter 3. So again, this is a perfect, pure environment. Okay? Rita, thank you for Genesis chapter 2, verse 5. That said, before they began to grow. Now come with me to Genesis chapter 3 and notice again some qualities about this environment that God has, formed these plant life in the earth. Genesis chapter 3, look at verse 18. This is when God is now pronouncing His judgment on man because of sin. And look what He says in verse 18. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, And thou shalt eat the herb of the field, in the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. Here's what we learn from that. It wasn't until after the fall, when God pronounced a judgment on mankind, that now suddenly this perfect, pure environment for plant life now has some resistance. Nothing to draw nutrients away from it. Nothing to threaten its life. No kudzu. They were as well. They were as well. And so we'll get into that. We'll get into that because there was a curse. Yeah, a curse which will be lifted, by the way. All right, now, what was I getting to a second ago? Oh, does God have command of plant life? Y'all go with me to Psalm 104. Thank y'all for hanging in there today, y'all. I know it's hot. As you can tell from me, I'm sweating like a hoss up here. Psalm 104. Look at verse 14. What does it say? Hey, Rita, I always love what the Bible says, what I want it to say. I think, and I think I stand on pretty good ground here. Did you stop trying to be that, Rita? Don't stop being a manipulator of the Bible. Just let it say what it's going to say. It says, He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle and herb for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth. All right, go with me. Again, just so now, okay, we're still going to talk about God having command of His creation. Go with me to Matthew chapter 21. Now, in Matthew 21, you're going to see the dark side. I don't know why. Sometimes it's actually hard for us to believe the miraculous about God. But He can do it. He can, right? We all said that. Matthew 21. Come on down to verse 19. No, go to verse 18. Verse 18. Matthew 21, verse 18. Now in the morning, as He returned into the city, that's Jesus, He hungered. And when He saw a fig tree in the way, He came to it and found nothing thereon, but leaves only, and said unto it, Let no fruit grow on thee henceforward forever. And presently the fig tree withered away. And when the disciples saw it, they marveled, saying, How soon is the fig tree withered away? How did you do that, Jesus? That was instant. Jesus answered and said unto them, Verily I say unto you, if ye have faith and doubt not, ye shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if ye shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done. Now pause. Let me just tell you right now. You go out there and talk to Colbert Mountain all you want. And say, Get out of here. Go. My God is bigger than thee. Greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world. You can quote all those church verses you learned. Y'all know what Colbert Mountain's going to do? It's going to laugh at you. It might even grow taller. I don't know. Okay? It is not going to be removed. That's because you've got to think dispensationally. The point that I am trying to draw from this is the command that God Almighty has over all things, including plant life. Now, for what it's worth, when I go back to Genesis chapter 3 and I think, well, where was all the food for these animals by the time we get to day 5 and day 6? I think in 2 24-hour periods of time, they grew. So here's my challenge. Prove me wrong. Caleb, you like my challenge? Prove me wrong. And so, hey, you might do it. And that's all good. But I'm just saying, if I'm just taking this thing, just a biblical perspective here, now remember, Hebrews 11 tells us, by faith we understand that the worlds were formed by the Word of God, right? Were framed, he says there. And so, one thing you have to remember throughout this study is that the earth then was not at all as you see it and experience it now, including plant life. Okay? It takes us a month or so to grow anything. Back then, it didn't. So, all right.